With everything that's gone on recently, the death of Charlie Kirk, and the way anger somehow found its way toward us, you can't help but notice a pattern. Somehow, when fear and resentment start swirling, black folks get turned into the scapegoat, even for things we had nothing to do with. And history shows us this is nothing new. Take Elaine, Arkansas, 1919. After slavery, many black men became sharecroppers. Farming was the work that they knew, but the system of sharecropping was designed to keep them poor. A black farmer rented land from a white landowner, planted and picked the cotton, and when it came time to settle the books, he always ended up in debt. Year after year, men who broke their backs in the field had barely enough money to feed their families. Sharecropping wasn't freedom, it was slavery by another name. So in Phillips County, black sharecroppers decided to organize. They started holding meetings at a church in Hoop Spur. They even hired a lawyer. They weren't plotting rebellion. They weren't looking for a fight. They were simply demanding fair wages for their labor, exercising rights they were supposed to already have. On the night of September 30th, 1919, they were gathered inside the church, talking about how to move forward. Outside, an angry white mob formed. Words were exchanged, shots ran out, and when the smoke cleared, one white man was dead, and that was all it took. Instead of telling the truth that they had gone looking for trouble, white folks spun a lie. They told the world that black people were planning an uprising. They called it an insurrection. And once that story started spreading, all hell broke loose. The newspapers amplified the rumor. The New York Times ran with the headline, "Planned Massacre of Whites Today." The Arkansas Gazette called Elaine a zone of Negro insurrection. But think about it. This was 1919. There was no TV, no social media. The newspaper was how people got their news. So when the papers printed those lies, they spread fear and anger, pulling even more white mobs into Elaine from nearby towns, and even hate groups farther away. The media didn't just report the violence, they fueled it. And the governor, he repeated the lie. Charles Breaux called in nearly 600 U.S. soldiers from Camp Pike to assist with the uprising. Does that sound familiar? Just like now, when National Guardsmen get called in to police black communities, often over rumors or exaggerated stories. History just keeps repeating itself. But back to the story. Those troops came in armed with rifles and machine guns, and for 3 days, Elaine was soaked in blood. Black men, women, and children were found hunted in the fields, dragged from their homes, shot down in the streets. Families fled into the swamps, but even there, violence found them. And here's the haunting part. No one knows how many were killed. Some reports say 50, others say 100. Historians later put the number closer to 200. I've even seen an article claim 800. But how do you not know? Why wouldn't you record the names and numbers of the dead? That silence tells its own story. Black lives didn't matter enough to be counted. Because so many names were never written down, some families never even had proof of what happened. That's violence on top of violence. Imagine being a wife whose husband never came home, a mother whose son never walked back through that door, and then having no record, no acknowledgement, not even a name on a paper. And all of this, the mob, the troops, the lies, started because black men dared to meet in a church to organize for fair pay. The violence didn't stop with the killings. More than 100 black men were indicted. 12 were sentenced to death in the electric chair. They called them criminals when the real crime was simply asking for justice. The NAACP stepped in. Walter White, a young investigator who could pass as white, risked his life to gather the truth. His work fueled years of legal battles until the Supreme Court overturned the convictions of the Elaine 12, a rare victory, but one that didn't bring back the dead or restore the community. So why does Elaine matter today? Because it shows the pattern. Deny rights, spread lies, call in troops, claim you're protecting order when really you're protecting power. Then erase the truth. We saw it in 1919, and we still see echoes of it today. And that's why we tell this story. Because freedom isn't freedom if it's only for some. You can't wave the flag and shout "stand for the flag" while stripping away the very rights that the flag is supposed to stand for. Elaine was one of the deadliest racial conflicts in American history, part of the Red Summer, when white mobs attacked black communities across the country. But Elaine stands out because of its scale, its lies, and its silence. But here's what they couldn't silence: us remembering. Trump might try to take exhibits out of the museums. They might try to erase stories from the books, but they will never ever take these stories out of our hearts, out of our mouths, or out of our memory. And that's why we keep sharing, and that's why we keep telling our stories. Because if we don't, one day they'll act like we never existed. Remember to comment, like, and share, and subscribe for more stories they won't put in your textbook. Peace.